Hey guys, today we're looking for the worst UR in the game. What UR is definitively the worst? Well, there are a lot of bad URs, but surprisingly or unsurprisingly, I don't know. So, let's start off by putting in anything that looks kind of just not really that good. So, Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, well, this is just a negate, so, And the special summon condition on this is, well, it exists. That's more than a lot of cards, so. Timaeus, the Knight of Destiny. To special summon this, it says must be special summoned from your extra deck by sending the book cards you control to the graveyard. You do not use polymerization. So it looks like you can't even use polymerization or some kind of fusion card separate from this. Like, for example, maybe Proxy F. It is unaffected by other cards' effects, so it's unaffected. Once per battle, if this card battles Dark Damage Calc, you can make this card's attack defense become equal to the attack of the monster in the field with the highest attack your choice, if tied. So, by itself, it's just an unaffected monster whose attack defense become equal to the attack of the highest monster on the field with the highest attack. So, if you put this in defense position, this is kind of annoying to out. That seems to be it, and nothing else. Because otherwise, the best you can do is to crash Timaeus because it doesn't have any battle protection or anything, right? So, yeah, nothing really super exceptionally good here. However, it is worth noting that it's not just your opponent's monsters. You can target your own monsters, technically. Like, assuming you have a really big Utopia that you make off of like Utopia Double or something, then you would have 5k attack defense and an unaffected monster. And then it has this floating effect. So this is already pretty annoying to do. So you have to send the buff cards you control to the graveyard. Notably, you need to have Legendary Knight, Timaeus, Critias, and Hermos. So these three. And there is one other way to summon this card. There is a spell, but I mean, it's just about as ridiculous as this, so yeah, this card, not great. So, Super Heavy Samurai Motorbike, well, I mean, this is just one card combo. This enables one card combo. And then Beta Kalanta. These cards are still too good. They actually have effects that do things. I mean, yeah, even if they're weird, like Beta Kalanta. Beta Kalanta, I'm not sure what this card does, really. But, let's see. This adds Clear New World. So Clear New World, I guess the target for this is probably Kalanta itself, and then you summon a monster that's negated that is different, I guess. Doesn't say anything about attack defense, interestingly enough. So we're going to have to look deep here. So let's look at cards, mostly starting with those that have negative effects. So Transmission, Gear. Well, this card is literally just a worse what was that card called? It's like dimensional something. So just like uh Sakuretsu, except it banishes. There's a card that exists that already does this without having you play rock paper scissors. So this is either a pro or a con depending on how you're looking at it. On the bright side, you're playing rock paper scissors. On the not so bright side, you can lose at rock paper scissors, and your opponent's monster doesn't necessarily get banished, and your own monster can get banished. So there's that. And then we have Five-Headed Dragon here. So the protection on this clearly sucks. Must be fusion summon cannot be destroyed by battle with dark earth, water, fire, or wind monster. On the bright side, if a Dragon Link player goes off really hard and you have this in your extra deck, Super Poly goes hard, So it's not completely like without usage. And then Continuing on. Let's see. Royal Straight Slasher. Let's see. Does this do anything? If you have all of Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight in your graveyard, you can send 5 monsters with different levels. Back to the graveyard and destroy all cards your opponent controls. This card is destroyed by value and target up to 3 light, or your monsters will special summon them. I mean, it has effects and they look activatable enough, so that's probably fine. How about the World Legacy? You can only control one the World Legacy. Each time a face-up level 5 or higher monster is sent from the field to the graveyard, place 1 counter on this card for each sent card, max 7 units, and this card moves 7 counters to the graveyard with summon 1 Cyber-Select monster from your extra deck. Okay. So you have to send a level 5 or higher monster from the field to the graveyard 7 times. I think that might be doable with Magni, like just maybe. So we'll just check the targets for this real fast. So Link monster, and then Cybers. So this can cheat out any of these. Is there anything worth cheating out? Firewall, Dragon, Singularity. Different types of cards. I mean, this looks like probably the best one so far, but I mean, we still need to set this up, so not really. And then anything else? While this Link summon card is on the field. This doesn't have the protection if you summon it this way, and it also doesn't have that graveyard effect or whatever this is. Oh, it is a graveyard effect. Yeah, we don't get that. Okay. IP, I guess, is something. Regular Firewall. Arrival with 0 attack. Dark Fluid. Terahertz. Yeah, I don't think there's actually anything here that's ever worth cheating out. Like, if they print something worth cheating out one of these days, maybe this card will be worth playing in some capacity, but right now I see literally 0 targets. So, yeah, this is pretty high up there. This card doesn't have an effect except for this, realistically, right? And then special summon 1 Cyberse Link monster from your extra deck doesn't count as a Link summon, so yeah, that's awkward. Don't slip the Dogs of War. When either player draws a tuners for their normal draw in their draw phase, they can reveal that card. They draw 2 cards. If your opponent draws by this effect, you lose 2,000 life points, and if you send this card to the graveyard. So you're telling me if I activate this card, then my opponent can draw Ash Blossom, Joyous Spring, and draw essentially 3 cards per turn. And I take damage. Well, this card's actually pretty up there as, like, one of the worst cards. Because you can't use the effect of this card until turn 3. Well, we'll start there, right? Yeah. We can go look at that more in depth later, but this is a pretty bad card. Yugioh Friendship. Honestly, you can FTK with this, and this card can be used alongside Unity to wait, is this the right one? Yeah, it is. You can use this with Judgment of the Pharaoh. This is just a super heavy floodgate, right? So Yugioh Friendship. Your opponent cannot normal summon, set, flip summon, or special summon a monster, or activate an effect monster's effect, and their monster's effects are negated. So you don't get to use continuous effects, you can't use activated effects, and you can't summon or set, just straight up. And flip summon, you can't do either. In fact, in case you didn't know, the only thing that you can do against Runkaminiad is specifically set and flip summon. You are not allowed to special or normal, but this removes those as well. So, summoning Lockwise, this is much worse. In fact, now that I think about it, can't you recycle this with Lab? Hmm. Yeah, I don't like that. Anyway, continuing on, all these cards have usages, and then, alright. Who is the Truth Classic Eelman? So, okay. Once while this fusion summon card is face up on the field, you can pay life points in multiples of 2,000. Choose one effect for every 2,000 life points paid. You can only apply each effect once and resolve them in the listed order, skipping any that were not chosen. Add one spell trap from your graveyard to your hand. That's a useful effect, I guess, right? Destroy 3 cards your opponent controls. That's useful, like, I guess, right? This turn, this card gains attack equal to half of the difference between your life points and your opponent's. Also, your other monsters cannot attack. That's uh going to gain, like, assuming your opponent's still at 8,000 and you paid 3 times for every single effect, that puts this at 9,000 attack. So if your opponent has just like an 1,000 attack monster, no lethal. Also, this doesn't defense pierce, so just one monster in defense. Also no lethal. So, awkward. Destroy 3 cards your opponent controls. I mean, it's just generic removal, I guess. Add one spell trap from your graveyard to your hand. I mean, I don't see why that's not useful. I mean, just even if you can't use it this turn, that's still an alright kind of effect. And the fusion summon condition isn't like that bad. I mean, Synchro, XYZ, Link Monster. If you were to like just Necrofusion it, and I don't know, you were just playing Dogmatics or something like that, I mean, this works okay enough. Like, you can send the new Shureg here, then you can send like either Synchro or XYZ immediately after. In case of like, I guess there's no fusion, but yeah, just something like that would work. And then continuing on, Sophia, Goddess of Rebirth. Cannot be normal summoned. Set must be special summoned from your hand by mashing one face-up ritual, fusion, synchro, and XYZ monster from anywhere on the field. Cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card. Special summon cannot be negated when this card is special summoned. Ban all the cards from both players' hands, fields, and graveyards. Cards and effects cannot be activated in response to this effect's activation. So you need this in your hand. So that's rough, but assuming you do that. Next, you need a Ritual, a Fusion, Synchro, and XYZ monster, and they all have to be on the field. So that's rough. Like, if you were playing DD, you have 3 of these at least. Like, discounting the lock, like, just ignore the fact that you're DD locked, but you still don't have Ritual anyways. So, strange. Okay, Overmind, Arcfiend. This condition is actually a little bit annoying, so it requires 3 monsters to summon. Okay. Once per turn, you can select one psychic type monster in graveyard or remove it from play, so bash it. This card is sent from the field to the graveyard. Special summon as many monsters as possible that were removed from play by this effect. What? Oh, that doesn't have a condition on it. Oh. But it has to be removed by this effect. Oh, this card can loop. But it has to be sent from the field to the graveyard. So you can't just return it to the extra deck with desynchro. It's off once per turn, so it can loop a little bit. But I don't think there's any like psychic that you can really loop with this right now. Well, not that I know of at least. End of the line, if your LP are lower than 100, draw 2 cards. Then if your LP are lower than 10, draw 2 additional cards. You will never meet this condition. And even if you did, it's a normal trap. So, that's up there. Try and guess. Since you can use this as part of an FTK, I guess it's decent. What does this do exactly? Destroy all monsters your opponent controls. When the good monster inflicts battle damage by a direct attack. Oh, this also works by, this can grab you any bamboo sword equip spell, right? So, not useless. It could probably be used for an FTK, honestly, or something like that. Great. Alright. Psychic Rover. If this card is special summon, you can roll a 6-sided die, and if you roll a 1 or 6, destroy up to 2 cards on the field. You have no choice in the matter. Okay, but this is optional. If this card is sent to the graveyard, right, you can roll a 6-sided die, and if you roll a 2, 3, 4, or 5, special summon this card. The player who summoned it cannot special summon from the extra deck while it is face up in the monster zone. So this is only when it is sent to the graveyard. How is this useful? This has no hard ones per turn, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. Is it just for this effect? I mean, I guess it would have to be, right? This card is pretty up there as being, like, relatively bad. But I mean, it's still useful because it's doesn't require you to actually target 2 cards, it's up to 2. If you roll the die, you have to destroy cards, I guess, technically, but optional effect, so whatever. If you actually pair this with, like, DPE, this could kind of go hard, I guess, right? Like, assuming it's in the graveyard and you spray elf this, pop 2 cards, I guess, and then DPE pop this, it'll get sent to graveyard, right? And then you can roll 2, 3, 4, or 5, and if you do, just roll a 1 or 6 again, pop 4. Just ignore the fact that you have to roll a 1 or 6 twice to get like these 5 pops, technically, if you pair it with elf DPE. So, that's great, I guess. Monster Reborn. Target 3 monsters in your graveyard. Your opponent chooses 1. You special summon it, and if you do, banish the rest. This card actually could be somewhat useful if you had cards worth banishing, so just Thunder Dragon, I guess, right? If you were playing Thunder Dragon specifically, this card as a one-of, I can see it, you know, it's not that bad. It's not unplayable, right? And then, let's see, Primal Seed, well, that card's a bit strong for reasons. Oradora of Fate. Pay 1,000 life points, then target one face-up monster you control. It gains 1,000 attack until the end of your opponent's turn, and if it does, apply this effect until the end of your opponent's turn. Each time it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can reveal the bottom card of your deck and place it on the top or bottom of the deck. If the revealed card was a dragon, dazzler, sea serpent, or wild monster, draw 1 card for every 1,000 attack of that monster, then gain 1,000 life points for each card drawn. This effect is only until the end of your opponent's turn. It gains 1,000 attack until the end of your opponent's turn, and then each time it destroys a monster by battle, reveal the bottom card of your deck, and then assuming it is a dinosaur, I guess, or whatever, so just something that meets the condition in general. Since Bystrals exist, you would draw 2 cards if a Bistral is revealed. And then you can either place that on the top or bottom and then do the draw if you want or don't want the card, right? But actually, wait a second. You can reveal the bottom card of your deck and place it on the top or bottom, so you can place it back to the bottom. So if you were able to place a high attack point monster on the bottom of your deck, you can just keep drawing with this effect. Huh. Assuming there's like some battle destruction going on, right? Like, let's say you pair this with like a UCT, your opponent would probably die. Hmm, troublesome. They would die before the draws ever matter. But with that type of thing, like a Borland, I guess, is a better example. If you would Borland, and then you keep just putting a high attack point Dragon Monsters. Let's just go with Blue Eyes. You just somehow put Blue Eyes to the bottom of your deck, and then you can draw 3 times, like off of that one Blue Eyes, right? So if you were to just destroy 2 cards, that is draw 6. If you were to destroy 3 cards, that would be draw 9. And you're gaining 1,000 life points each time as well, just cause. If there was a way to loop this, that would be a little bit interesting, I guess. Mm-hmm. Alright, I guess. There might be a Jank FTK you could do with this, or like a setup kind of like that, yeah. So, somehow not completely useless. Draw a Fate. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, and your opponent controls a monster with the highest attack on the field, even if it's tied, reveal 3 cards with different names from your deck. Place them on top of your deck in random order, then draw 1 card for the rest of this turn. If this card resolves, you cannot set spells/traps. Also, you can only activate 1 more card or effect. You can only activate 1 draw fate per turn. I mean, this card is surprisingly not that bad. Withdraw of Fate, like, I don't know. What deck? The first condition is necessarily going to ever be met, right? So just having your life points be lower than your opponent's is the main issue with this card, from what I can tell. Because if you reveal 3 cards with different names, like just think about it, Raigeki, Lightning Storm, Dark Hole, that's 3. Raigeki, Lightning Storm, Dark Hole, evenly matched, that's 4. 4 good ones, right? And then you can just drop that and set like 4 or 5 cards and then pass. If you think about it that way, it's not that bad, right? Except, wait, you cannot set spells/traps. Alright, never mind. Because you cannot set spells/traps, I clearly didn't notice this the first time. This is a lot worse, and you were like, what? Uh-huh. And you can only activate 1 more card effect. So, yeah, never mind. The card's awful. Alright. This is pretty up there. Because you're just floodgating yourself. Cool. But this is just for the rest of the turn, so you can technically use this later in the turn. Wait a second. Let me read this again. For the rest of this turn after this card result. Wait, no, never mind. This card's dumb. Yeah, you can still set spell traps. You just wouldn't be able to activate evenly matched then, which kind of sucks, I guess, but if you declare like 3 cards, then, well, you set before activating Draw a Fate, then it just works. Hmm, intriguing. It reveals the 3 cards though, okay. And they have to be different names, so you just need the targets for this. Saga of the Dragon Emperor. Let's see. Target a dragon monster you control, its attack becomes doubled until the end of this turn. Then if your opponent currently controls a dragon monster, the activation of the target monster's effects cannot be negated. For the rest of this turn, during your main phase, you would banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 of your Dragon XYZ monsters that is banished or in your graveyard in defense position. So it still has to be properly summoned. So this card's not completely useless, honestly. Hmm. Yeah. For a rank 8 deck, if you made UDF and this is in your graveyard for whatever reason, assuming we use like, actually Hope Harbinger is a number. Yeah, I don't know exactly what you would be bringing back with this. So, I mean, being able to bring back like Hope Harbinger, for example, off of this is just not that bad in general. So we'll just call it good enough. It has a type of monster reborn effect, so it's niche, but it's not that bad. Morphable, the Bullfighter Bard. Cannot be normal summon slash set, must be special summon from your hand by bashing 2 light and 2 dark monsters from your hand and or graveyard, except this card. So, assuming I open this, and I want to special summon this off rip, you're telling me I have to banish the rest of my hand? What? And what do you do with this insane cost? This card gains 1,000 attack for each monster banished from your hand for its summon. So, 4,000 attack, and can attack monsters a number of times each draw phase, up to the number of monsters banished from the graveyard for its summon. So if I use from the hand, I gain nothing. I have to put all my cards into the graveyard somehow first, and then do this, and also open this. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle after damage calc, you can bash that opponent's monster. Well, I mean, that sure is an effect. So if I beat over Mirror Jade with this, it screws me still. And it can only attack monsters a number of times each battle phase. Not just attack. Cool. Card completely awful. So, considering this is a UR, yeah, this goes up there in awful URs for sure. But would I say it's the worst? I mean, ref panel exists, so ref panel rulings. Enough said. I'm not going to elaborate further. And then now we have Wake Up Your Elemental Heroes. Actually, a good card, isn't it? Arm Dragon, level 10 white. Well, I don't think I probably own the worst card. But Spellbound is pretty bad. All face-up monsters your opponent currently controls cannot be tributed or used as material for a fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link summon. Alright, let me ask a question about Spellbound. I don't know this ruling, so maybe someone can clarify for me here. If we have special summon per Lily, and someone activates, and you activate Spellbound, right? So your opponent would control per Lily, I guess, right? Can they use per Lily's effect to XYZ summon? Well, if the answer is yes, then this card is pretty garbage. And I can't think of a single good usage for this card anyways. So, there you go. Chronicle Magician. A monster with 2,500 original attack or defense is no special summon to your field, except during the damage type, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. If this card is special summon, you target one Dark Magician or Blue Eyes White Dragon in your monster zone. Gains 2,500 attack defense until the end of this turn. This card's not actually useless because you can use this to XYZ summon with. Except this has to be summoned from your hand. That's the only issue with this card, in my opinion, because I don't know how you necessarily get it there, but could be worse. Could be worse, but could always be worse. Alright. If we keep scrolling down, let's see if we can find anything really bad. Like, because these cards are actually kind of good, because 2,400 defense on a vanilla monster that's level 4, you can just set this. To an extent, this is good, right? And keep her going. Utopia Kaiser. This actually has a usage. Not gonna read over the whole effect, but long story short, this prevents you from special summoning monsters for the rest of this turn, but it does not stop you from normal summoning. So you can actually use this to summon Slifer, like just normal summon Slifer, which I find hilarious. So, pretty chill, I guess. These vanillas actually have a purpose, so can't really say they're the worst URs, but come on, bro. This is a normal monster, so if we just look at this by itself, yeah, that's pretty bad, ain't it? Like, no support, just Dark Magician. Cool. What am I supposed to do? Normal summon this? Doesn't do a whole lot. Elemental Hero Divinios. Must be fusion summon using any 5 Neos, Neospace, Neospatian, or Hero monsters, including at least one Neos or Neospace monster. One Neospatian monster and one Hero monster, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Wait, so at least one of each? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Once per turn, you can banish one Neos, Neospace, Neospatian, or Hero monster from your graveyard. This card gains 500 attack, and until then phase, it also gains the banish monster's effects. Then in this case, why wouldn't you just fusion summon uh the the monster instead of making Divine Neos? You know, like I guess it's because their effects are not hard once per turn, but why don't you just summon it again? It sounds easier than summoning Divine Neos, so yeah. Unless someone can give me some context for this, because I think there might be a way to cheat this out. Like, just maybe. There might be a ignore special summon conditions card that can summon Divine Neos. So, hmm. I see no use case for this card ever. Heroic Envoy, that's fine. What? Chimera. This card can attack directly, and to inflict spell damage, your opponent has to place a random card from your opponent's hand on top of their deck. One word. You don't have, well, not one word, just one basic concept. You don't have a battle phase going first. That's about all that needs to be said, I guess. So, the Vigishki Merogeist. After damage calc, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by value and detach one XYZ material from this card, shuffle the destroyed monster into the deck instead of sending it to the graveyard. But why? You could, like, just go into, like, the Zodiac package instead, so. The only thing useful about this might be the fact that it's just a Gishki monster, so there might be a card that cares about that somewhere. I haven't read all the Gishki cards, I don't think. Have I? Well, I mean, I personally don't remember such a card existing, but if it does, it gives justification for that card's existence. But yeah, this is definitely one of the worst cards that's a UR. This is in the Legacy pack, I guess, so that's cool. 7th Ascension. This card seems like it's fine, actually, from what I can tell here. And this is probably the best Gimmick Puppet card, so, alright. Musical Sumo Dice Games. This is funny, and it can win you games, so that's fine, I guess. All Eyes Phantom Dragon. Red Eye / Dragon. Satiller Knight Shriver. So all these cards seem fine. Even Ultimate Dragonic Utopia Ray has a usage. Once per turn, either of these conditions are met, you can equip a ZW monster from your hand or deck to this card as if it were equipped by that monster's effect. So this is actually somewhat useful because this is always treated as number C39 Utopia Ray. In Archetype, we can summon this as a target with what's his face? The Dragonic Utopia or whatever. And if we do this on our opponent's turn, this will trigger the rank up spell, the hyper rank up, and that will target and equip onto, or not equip, attach onto Ultimate Dragonic Utopia Ray, which triggers Ultimate Dragonic Utopia Ray. And then this also has the effect to target face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of ZW monster cards hooked to this card. Negate their effects. So with those two effects combined, this card is not that bad, but I mean, it's just For deck efficiency reasons, you don't really run this. The most this really does for you is this just becomes like probably a trap negate, I think. I don't really think there's a super good target to equip onto this, assuming you have made the other Utopia, so yeah, that's just kind of how that goes, I guess. Some more Onslaught. This is probably good, I guess. Does this lock you or something? Yeah, that seems fine. Okay. Yeah, Toast, this is somewhat useful, you know, just special summon a level 8 dude. Instead, one of your equip spells equipped to this card to the graveyard, then target up to 3 monsters in your opponent's graveyard, banish those targets, and then gain attack. Yeah, that effect doesn't seem that useful though, so we're about halfway. So this is rough. I think this is useful only because it's mentioned as like a material for something, so that's awkward. Apex Predation. Control a normal summon slash set monster. Destroy all special summon monsters on the field until the end of your next turn after this card is activated. You cannot normal summon slash set. This card's actually not that bad. You can just play this in Flu, right? Actually, it's not that good to play in Flu, specifically because normal summon slash set, you're not allowed to do so. I guess you could play this in, it would be a little bit better to play this in like Labyrinth. So you could play that. I mean, card's not that bad. If you like can meet this cost, right? It only requires you to control a normal summon slash set monster. That's it, right? In fact, this might be decent in stun like decks. It's just really expensive, right? How do you get this card right now? You don't. Master Pack only as well. Valiant Shark Lancer. You target one monster your opponent controls. Detach one material from an XYZ monster you control, and if you destroy that monster. This is a quick effect if you control another Water XYZ monster. If another Water XYZ monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while you control this monster, you can take one spell from your deck and place it on top of your deck. You can only use each effect of Alien Shark Lancer once per turn. I mean, card looks fine. It's quick effect destroy, I guess. Uh, do you never detach material from this though? Oh, so it doesn't require material. So if you summon this off of Bahamut Shark, I guess this makes sense. Kinda. Sure. Hmm. Celestial Nightlord Parkshaft. That card's probably fine. And then Super Heavy Samurai. Warlord Sasana Wo. Okay. Standard Super Heavy Samurai effect. Then, okay, once per turn during either placement, if you have no spell trap cards in your graveyard, you attack one trap your opponent's graveyard, set to your side of the field. But actually, when it leaves the field, that effect's actually not that bad. That's one of the better ones, for sure. Ignoble Knight of High Lon Solin. And this card is Synchro Summon. You can equip one noble equip spell card from your deck to this card. So this is already not that bad. Okay. At the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed a monster by battle and sent it to the graveyard, you can add one Noble Knight or Noble Arms card from your deck to your hand. You can only control one Ignoble Knight of High Lon Solin. Wait, what the? This card has no hard ones per turn. No. So I'm not sure what every single Noble Arms does, like Noble Arms equips soul card, but I mean, you can add Durandal off of this, so that's something for sure. Not a useless card. by any means then, alright. And if you do so, that's probably going to at least be close to an Assault Day. This isn't a fire uh, warrior or whatever, so you can't summon Renaud off of that, so whatever. I mean, surely it's not that bad, right? Rookie Warrior later. When an attack is declared involving your other warrior monster and an opponent's face-up monster, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. That opponent's monster loses attack equal to its original attack until the end of this turn. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one or four warrior monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Is there a good Earth Warrior monster to ever add? So is this playable in Warrock and literally nothing else? Maybe. That may be the case. Then let's see. Let's look for the really bad cards. A card that either does nothing or it's literally negative useful. It actively harms you to play, so I'm sure we can find something like that. I mean, I'm not sure about this card, for example, right? Let's see. This card seems to give you like some card advantage, at least when you add Mischief of the Time Goddess. So probably not that bad. Rainbow over Dragon. Does this card do anything? Shuffle the cards on the field into the deck. I guess that effect's good, so sure. This is just Rhoda. Add one Hierarch monster from your deck to your hand. This is not hard once per turn. Huh. And yet I still haven't seen anyone play Hierarchs like ever. That's crazy to think about. And then, let's see, all these cards. None of these are completely useless, right? Cause of Sophia? Uh-huh. During this phase. This card is probably okay. Assuming you're going second, right? And you can do that, and then you Scythe block your opponent, essentially. That is not that bad, right? So, with Ancient Gear Golem, does do anything? It's just a big guy, right? With defense piercing. I mean, don't slip the Dogs of War is a card, so I could never, in good faith, say this is the worst card. And this effect here, this protects ritual monsters you control. Wait, this includes itself. That's random. If all monsters use the ritual summon this card, were ritual monsters that can make a second attack during each battle phase. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that destroyed monster's original attack. I mean, don't slip the Dogs of War is probably much worse. Dream Mirror Hypnagogia. Okay. Just need to check if the Dream Mirror field spells were like high rarity as well. Because then that card becomes the worst card for another reason. Okay. Then count on extra Joker. Negate. It is the word negate. That's good enough for me. Alright. Red Blossoms from Underroot. This is definitely one of the worst cards of all time. I believe it was this one, right? If this card is in your hand, you can target one spell trap in each graveyard, banish them, and if you do special summon this card, Then you can tribute this card, then target one fusion synchro XYZ or link monster in either graveyard. Banish that target, and if you use special summon one monster from your graveyard with a different monster card type fusion synchro XYZ or link from that target. This requires so many conditions to do like an effect that doesn't do a whole lot for you necessarily. Depends a little bit on what your opponent's playing, I guess, but I don't see this ever being useful. Like what? So if we just special summon this is just a useless level 1 monster. It's not even a tuner. Then we can summon different monster card type, assuming our opponent has the optimal one for us. Is there a Fusion Synchro XYZ or Link summon or Link monster that's really worth summoning off of this realistically? I don't think so. And because it mentions Link monster, the best Link decks are essentially Cyberse, and this just gets rid of your ability to use transcode, so why bother when you can just consistently make G Golem or whatever, right? I don't see it. Definitely pretty bad. And this one is fine. This one's also fine. These are just rank ups, so that is fine, I guess. And then I don't think any of these cards are particularly super bad. And then here, you can target one single monster your opponent controls, equip that target to this card. Means attack equal to the combined attack of the monsters equipped to this. By this effect, once per turn during your standby phase, you can send one of those equipped monsters you control to the graveyard and inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. You cannot conduct the battle phase the turn you activate this effect. So this card seems pretty awful. I don't know exactly what mech loots do, but you're telling me my opponent can respond to me using this effect? You can target one synchro monster your opponent controls, equip that target to this card. And considering you need to send 3 Mechlord monsters from your hand to the graveyard to summon this, seems pretty awful. And then it just has a random burn effect and does nothing else and has no forms of protection or anything, despite costing as much as like a god card to make. Yeah. Arcana, the Light Ruler. What does this do? When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you target one card in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. That's a great effect. When a spell trap card or a monster effect that targets this card is activated, quick effect, this card loses exactly 1,000 attack. And you negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Honestly, neither effect is like that bad, right? So, it's on the better side of things. I don't really know about their friend Immortal, so whatever, I guess. Gravekeeper, Oracle. Right, let's see if there are any really bad cards I actually recognize, because I haven't read all of these necessarily. But I generally know if a card has a usage or not. I might miss one though, so whatever. Perform Repel, Sleight Hand, Magician. You can special summon this card from your hand by tributing a Perform Repel monster except a Pendulum monster. Once per turn, you can discard one target, then target one face-up card on the field, destroy it. Looking pretty damn mid. So you're telling me I have to play pens with non-pens, and these non-pens probably won't give me realistically any advantage here. Cool. And then we can discard one card, then target one face-up card on the field, destroy it. Discarding a card in a pen deck that plays non-pens. Like, my instinct is this card is just bad. Alright, then. Oh, also the Earth Channeler is here now. This card can just search Max E for whatever reason. I mean, technically you would have to also be playing like Earth Insects in general, but just the concept that this can do that. That's kind of like, all right. Not much else to say there. And then any bad cards here? Let's see. For the most part, I think these are good cards that just do something. Yeah, Yada's kind of bad, but it's whatever, I guess. No material. If your opponent special summons a monster while you control no cards, you can discard this card. Then target one face of monster your opponent controls. This turn, that monster cannot be tributed or used as material for a fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link summon. Once again, does this work with Per Lily? Always a question worth asking. Overall, like, not that insane, so whatever. Hmm. This works against normal summon decks. That's probably the niche that's worth looking at for this card. And then up to Abyss. Not sure. Well, we'll just keep going. And I don't see any super bad cards except for this one, I think, right? This card's name becomes Armittle, the Chaos Phantasm, while on field. Once per turn during your main phase, you can give control of this card to your opponent. Once per turn during the end phase, if this card's control was changed this turn, match all cards you control, then the owner of this card can special summon one Armittle, the Chaos Phantasm from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. So that's the other monster. So not completely useless, but not that great, right? Hmm. I don't have like a 100% lock on what the card does, but alright, I guess. I think this card wasn't that bad because you can use it to special summon another copy of Global Base, and then you can make a rank 10 with this. Not completely useless, expensive, yes, but not useless. Red of Power Fusion Dragon. I've never seen anyone use this card in my life. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, tribute one monster in either field with a predator counter, and if you do, negate that activation. Oh, this is an Omni negate. Wow, that's actually interesting. And it's soft once per turn, so if you had multiple. It requires essentially 9 to 4 monsters to make, requiring a Dark Fusion monster and a Fusion monster, though. If this Fusion summon card you control is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card, you can target one Dark monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So this can go into like another negate. Probably. It's just generically any dark monster, so I'm assuming that they'll be able to go into something useful. Uh, does this one do anything? Once per turn, you target one face-up non-machine monster on the field. Equip that target to this card. While equipped with a monster by this effect, this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. If this card attacks, its original attack is halved. If this card attacks a defense position monster, like piercing battle damage. Alright. This card's awful. Nice. It just permanently loses attack every time it attacks. Great. Or rather, not so great. And then we'll keep going. If we find anything like really awful. And I don't recognize 100% of these cards, but yeah. Star Mine. You can only special summon Star Mine once per turn. If this card and its owner's possession is destroyed by opponent's attack or card effect, take 2,000 damage, then inflict 2,000 damage to your opponent. If a monster in this card's adjacent zone is destroyed by your opponent's attack or card effect, destroy this card. And if you take 2,000 damage, then inflict 2,000 damage to your opponent. So at most, this might be able to. Nope. This only does 2,000 burn damage. And its stat line is just 2,200. So yeah, this is one of the worst cards for sure. And this requires your opponent to trigger it. Oh, okay. Interestingly enough, the effect is not hard once per turn, but the special summon condition is. Okay, I guess. Oh, here it is, Utopia Dregnar. Alright. Yeah, that's the card I was talking about earlier, so alright. So now let's just look at spell traps, because I'm sure spell traps are where the worst cards will truly be. Ostinato. You control no monsters fusion summon a melodious fusion monster from your extra deck using 2 monsters from your hand or deck as material to that phase of this turn. Destroy the monster fusion summoned by this effect, and if you do, all the fusion materials that were used for its fusion summon are in your graveyard. You can special summon all of them. No one plays Melodious, so cool. I mean, this is a Melodious card, but yeah, I mean, I think it does kind of something. It puts monsters on the field, at least, you know. How bad could that really be? Trap, Tantalizing Tune. Discard one level 4 insect or plant monster or one normal trap. Draw 2 cards. You banish this card from your graveyard, then trigger one of your banished level 4 insect, plant, or plant monsters or normal traps placed on the bottom of the deck. Some random recycling effect. Okay, I guess. Seems whatever. It's like a very specific trade-in, I guess. Looking a little deeper, we have, of course, Berserker Soul and Flashing Souls. These are pretty bad. But Clashing Souls actually can do a full board wipe. And this happens in when? Damage Calc. Because this happens in Damage Calc, this could be pretty good, actually. Like, assuming I'm playing Vanquish Soul, for example, like, assume I do Battle, do Clashing Souls, and then I, like, continue Arousin, special summoning back, like Borger, I can just burn for game at that point. So, I mean, the use case exists. That's just something. Surprise chain. Activate only as chain link 2 or higher. Apply the following effects depending on the chain link number of this card in sequence. Skip over any that do not apply. You cannot activate this card if multiple card effects with the same name are in that chain and hard ones return. So there's a draw one card. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Activate the top cards of your deck equal to the chain link number of this card. Then place them on the top of your deck in any order. So assuming 4, we excavate 4, and then we can draw a card and send one as well. I mean, I don't know how you would get the chain link this high, but if you can, this effect's actually not that bad. So somehow this has a use case. And then I don't think any of these cards are super bad, except maybe this one. Once per turn, you target one face of monster on the field. Its type is changed to machine. Also, it gains the light, dark, earth, water, fire, wind attributes, even if this card leaves the field. RGB Rainbow Lucian. Wow, this card's awful. I'm looking at this card and it makes less sense the more I look at it. And you're telling me I could just run 3 of these for whatever reason. Okay. I mean, it's not, like, completely useless, but it's just dumb, right? Like, for example, if I was playing against Sun Avalon, this is not a useless card, right? I can just activate this and it'll affect my opponent negatively. Sales pitch. Your opponent adds a card from the deck to their hand except by drawing them. By their card effect, reveal 1 card from your deck and add it to your hand, but you cannot activate cards with effects of cards with that name for the rest of this turn. Well, that's not that great, is it? Pig Iron versus Pen Peg. Target one face a monster on the field. If that monster's attack defense or level is higher than its original value, becomes its original value. Then pay life points in multiples of 100, minimum 100, max 1000. Then your main face if four players have the same life points and this card is in your graveyard, you set this card. Wait, what? The more I look at this card, the less I understand. Yeah, this card does like literally nothing. Unless someone can give me a use case for this. This is up there as one of the most useless cards for sure. And I don't know exactly every UR card, but if I were to have to just go through these cards, End of the Line is going to be completely the worst card because this is so easy to play around. And there is no deck that really goes to like 100 life points or 10, like, except for one deck. Like, if we're talking about just like consistently being able to do this and it mattering, like you'd say Dynamorphia or something, but then it's like they probably summon Rexterm if their life points is that low. So cool. Why does that matter, right? There's only exactly one card I see for getting you to 10 life points. Is Zexal Alliance. If a face-up XYZ monster you control is destroyed by battle, or an opponent's card effect, pay 10 life points so that you only have 10 left. And then, I assume, activate the other effect, draw 4. And this also has, I guess, the effect to place any card from your deck on top of, well, on top of it, so you're guaranteed to draw it. So that's not the absolute worst, right? And then you can pair it with End of the Line, but aside from that, there's no other cards in the game that do anything with End of the Line, right? So for now, I'm going to have to say, Don't Slip, the Dogs of War is probably the worst you are. This card just gives your opponent cards, potentially. You probably won't get cards from this, realistically, like, ever. And worst case scenario, of course, your opponent just draws a tuner for their normal draw. Like, if they draw an Ash Blossom, they also draw 2 other cards, and then you lose 2,000 life points, and this is sent to the graveyard, so you don't even have a shot to draw your extra 2 cards. So yeah, that's awful. And then Pig Iron versus Pen Pig. This just does nothing. But this is literally negative useful. This is harming you actively if you ever activate this for whatever reason. So yeah, I would definitely put this as one of the worst cards of all time. I mean, Orpha Bull, the Harmonious Bullfighter Bard is also up there. If we're talking about like worst cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, well, specifically UR ones. Don't Slip the Dogs of War is what I'm placing my bets on. And I'm going to just say that vanillas don't really count, so yeah. How many UR vanillas are there actually? I better not see a lot. Uh, a few, I guess. It's just these guys. Alright, whatever then. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.